allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have a motion to approve the minutes for October 27th, November 1st, 2001 regular meetings.
I'll move. Second.
All those in favor to approve the minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Comments? Weaver. For middle school track.
We are interested in starting a track team at Hamlin, and if you don't know, this is our gym teacher, Callan Weaver, and she comes to us from Wheeling, and she actually ran she ran cross country in Morgantown for a year and then ran cross country at West Lib, so she has a great background in track.
I actually ran cross country and track when I was in middle school, so I know it helps me become the person that I am, and also being physical education health, I'm trying to promote lifetime activities for the kids to do, and with childhood obesity being an issue, track can be for any kid, any body type. It's not basketball, you have to have the skills to play. Anybody can run. They can try and throw, shot, put, or discus, long jump, high jump. And I think it'll also just help, the boys who play football. It's going to help their agility.
And these are things that we, before the new high school, when we had the old high schools, track used to be a big program, and it did, boys that played football always ran track, and it certainly did, I can remember being in high school, everybody did, and softball and baseball has kind of gotten more popular, but we feel like there's a lot of kids, and we turned a list into Jeff, and we had about 43 kids, and we realized that probably not 43 are going to do it, but I think there's enough interest,
At least half would be perfect for a track team. And we also looked over the choices that they have. They pretty much have three choices
at the middle school:
basketball, baseball, softball, football. Just be one more opportunity for a kid to find themselves. And then when they go to high school, they already know, I could do track. I'm not going to be afraid to try out for the track team. So, we looked at budgets. Of course, though, I think the most that would cost would be the uniforms.
And I price them at in Hamlin, and we're looking at around $45 per uniform. I mean, that would be a kind of a one-time, a startup fee. And I talked to Becky, and she told me to ask maybe for if we could get help. I know the worst you can do is say no, is like 80-20 split, and then negotiate from there on price. What was it? It was like I said, like $45 per uniform, and that would be our biggest expense at this point. And you're not going to have that the next year because you'll take the uniforms back up and just add to the uniforms. I mean, it's a basic uniform. It's not something like
It's not Nike.
Yeah, right. It's not something you're going to have
ridiculous.
to change. It's from year to year.
How are the other uniforms purchased? Do you know the basketball, football?
I know the coaches.
I know that I'm the cheerleading sponsor also, and we raise money, and we have for example, the cheerleaders. We do the homecoming, and we do the homecoming dance. We do the prom. And I have that money coming in, so I have my money. The basketball, they get gate money, so they have some income. Football, same thing, they have gate money, and so they run their programs through that.
This being a new program.
Right, it's a new program. We have we talked about doing some fundraisers. We're not against fundraising.
I thought of two. I actually went on the internet and I found a grant by Saucony. They're a running brand, and I think it's $10,000 they will give you. So I'm in the process of writing it, and hopefully they approve. That would be awesome. I think they'll provide money for shoes. They even said healthy snacks. The only thing I would have to do if I were the head coach, just send in the results to show that the kids are participating. That's all they ask for. And then another idea maybe for a fundraiser is I've run 5Ks all over the place. My dad's really educated in running also, and I could easily set up a road race. The community could come in, you know,
Neat idea.
$10, $15 if you want to run or walk and help, you know, funds for the track team. Because the other things, like a shot put, a discus, are $20. We can start out with one, eventually get a few more.
We figure
Hurdles
the high school too.
could
I mean,
help
we feel like
us.
they probably have some of this that with Hamlin being here, that's not going to help all the other schools because I realize we understand that, you know, if you offer to Hamlin, it's going to have to be all 4 schools.
Well, if
So-
the interest is there, I mean,
Right.
you could be the,
Yeah.
you could be the kind of like, you could
Yeah,
start
get it
everything,
going,
get
yeah.
it going, and if the other schools show interest,
Right.
they may not show any interest, but you do. But I think it's very important for a middle school program, especially if you want to have a high school program.
That's what we said. And I know that I have a daughter who, you know, I've put her in every sport there is. The only thing she likes is cheerleading, and this is a sport that, you know, I feel like can do. It's not real like the competitive nature of you know,
individual
basketball.
and
She's
team.
not, yeah, she's not like that. But I think she could run.
Because back home in Wheeling,
I'm making her do it.
I coached at Wheeling Park High School, our track team, and we had so many kids, one because they came from the football program, but the middle schools, they each had a track team, but for cross country they were combined as a county. And I didn't know if that was a possibility too, if you know a few from Duval or, you know, wanted to run.
Are you talking about what we
If
see?
they don't have a track team, they can come.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
You're talking about boys and girls?
Yes.
We are not, okay, just for clarification.
Yeah, if there's not if they don't have a program in Duval or Harris
Right.
or Guyan Valley, and you're all to have the program,
Right.
yeah, they can
And
come
that's
down and do
happened in the past where, you know, boys have gone, you know,
Yeah.
Do you have any idea the number of meets that you participate in or anything like that?
Probably not a lot the first year, just to get the kids adjusted
about
to
like
it.
5. I think we, you know, kind of.
And Barbersville, I'm sure they have a track meet.
Milton.
Milton,
I'm sure the Putnam County schools, you know, Putnam, Cabell.
Linfield has a
Well,
nice
yeah.
school.
So, I mean, it wouldn't be hard
it'd be
to.
close, and transportation, we wouldn't have to go too far.
I think Boone County has some track team.
I mean, you know, yeah.
Scott.
Their field is fabulous. It's incredible.
Well, I mean, I think you know, if we want to support this, we need to support them all. I mean, if they come to us and say, we want this first year to participate too, then I think that, I mean, I feel we'd be obligated
Oh,
to
yeah.
help all.
Absolutely.
But that's not necessarily a bad thing
Well, no,
That's true.
it's not bad at all.
Yeah, I know. The more people get to participate, the better
Right.
athletics
I mean,
are in
it's-
high school.
it is.
Especially when you start in middle school. I really appreciate you coming
Hey, Mr.
Go ahead.
President, man. We start.
Have cheerleading practice.
What do you see as our staff? A head coach and assistant, or what do you see?
Yeah.
Head. Assistant.
Staff of 2, is that what we're talking about?
Mr. McCormick told me he would help, you know, he wasn't asking for money, but he said he would help me out because he threw. I'm not a shot put expert. I can I understand the basics of it, but it would be nice to have somebody down
I
there.
mean, you could certainly have as many volunteers as you want, but I mean, as far as paid staff, are you talking about an assistant and a head coach? Or
We haven't
deputy
thought
volunteer?
that
Whatever
real
would have you
Yeah, no.
approve.
Yeah.
But you could have all kinds, you know, volunteers.
As long as they go through the process and get approved.
Right.
long as they're approved.
Right, as long as they're approved. Yeah.
But I appreciate you coming by. I think it's a great idea. And I'm sure
I do
everybody
too.
else is.
They seem so excited about it. They ask all the time.
They really do.
Is there a track team? Is there a track team? I'm like,
Yeah.
awesome. We'll see.
Well, I really appreciate it. I know you'll have things to do.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming
All
by.
right, thanks, appreciate it.
Enthusiasm. It's awesome. Danny Daly, technology update. Oh, wait a minute, Diane Miller.
When he looks
Thank
at you so much.
I'm ready for you.
He's a computer.
President Matthews and the board and Superintendent Lucas. I've learned a whole bunch the last few months through our little journey of Universal Pilot program that we're on. We're doing very well. We have improvements to still make, but we are moving closer to our goal, which is 85% for breakfast and 80% for lunch. And I gave you a listing of the principals meeting minutes that we go over each and every month so that each principal knows exactly what the participation was, where it was the month before, increases, decreases, labor costs, and free and reduced needy percentages as well, because those do fluctuate with incoming applications. So they're informed each and every month. Our free and reduced application response was much higher this year because we had so many passionate people doing home visits, going to great lengths to get our free and reduced applications submitted for approval. Although our free and reduced level went down from 69 to 67% this year, the exact nature of that is still yet to be determined. I'm not quite sure if that was because they indeed thought that because we were universal free that they didn't reflect an actual income on the application, but we'll be researching that in weeks to come.
Ms. Miller, could I,
Sure.
would you review this for us just a second?
Sure.
I'm not quite sure I understand the labor part.
Okay, the labor is when we calculate the meals per cook hour at each school. And what we've set as a county, 16 to 18 is where we start to begin. Anything over 18%, we start to look at those percentages to possibly look at increasing labor, increasing some staff at those places. So for say Duval and Guy Valley and the high school, those levels are above a little bit over the 18, whereas West Hamlin and Duval are significantly over the 18%. But again, we go into the holiday season, so we need to keep considering and watching those percentages as we go through this. Not necessarily that you have to add staff immediately, but just to continue to watch those percentages as we go along. We know that they're working hard.
An FR is free.
FR is free,
percentage, okay.
yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Free and reduced.
I have a quick question.
Okay.
On your breakfast, you all have, I know they have grab and go.
We do.
Is that included in the breakfast percentage?
Correct. That's overall.
Right.
And another thing to remember is these may look a little bit lower because Fridays are preschoolers, even though they're enrolled in the overall enrollment of the school, they do not attend on Friday. So sometimes there's no way that we can reach any higher than like Ranger at 91% is pretty close to their max that they're going to reach. Or if they take a field trip, anytime that there's any kind of absences or any time a field trip that no meal is provided, it also causes these percentages to go down. So when we set the target at 85 and 80, that would be #1 in the state overall if we could reach those levels. So as we creep up towards that, we know that we're doing better as we go along. And these have increased and some have decreased. It just depends. We have the Pumpkin Festival that caused a few minor slips in the percentages and such.
So all schools except for Harts area have some type of after-school supper program?
Correct.
Is that right?
Correct. On October 1st, we went from at-risk snacks to at-risk suppers. And so the reimbursement I'm just working on right now, I'm waiting on documentation from Midway, and I should have the supper reimbursement. It's a separate federal program now, so that isn't in here yet.
Will those kids, I mean, they're not receiving that in the after-school program right now at Harts?
Correct, there's no one attending. Now, there are a few, I just did a monitor down at Harts Middle just a few days ago, and there was 2, but 2 is more than what we.
We expect that might change when the new school opens?
Correct, I believe so, but there's another program that is offered down at Harts, and I'm not sure if Ms. Davis has them to continue with the program after school, or if we're going to take over that. I haven't been advised of that.
And it's separate, Mr. Priestley.
Yeah.
That's run through Michael.
Yes.
Step by step.
Oh, what they do.
Mhm. So the students in one way or another,
So
whether
they do
it's
have
through
some-
us or someone else is being provided.
Yeah, I guess my question,
That's just
the
a
question was
separate.
obscure to you, okay?
Right.
But I thought they were having something.
They are. They are. It's just not the rest.
What we talked about that.
So that's my little form to keep them at least abreast of what they're being monitored. The state is watching these totals very carefully, so I felt, and Ms. Lucas felt, that we needed to keep them as informed as we are so that they know what the levels are, and different activities can cause those percentages to go down.
And one thing I would like to add, when we asked about the labor, is that the state does look at, what is it, 16 to 18?
16 to
18. And that's a normal labor, and when you start going above that, and as you can see, we do have some, and that's when we came and asked about the extra cooks. So
Those
you
are
can-
recommended percentages or mandated?
Those are, I want to say mandated. Is
I
it
think they're
mandated
right.
from the, or recommended from the federal?
Correct.
Yeah.
So, me and Bertie today, we looked at reimbursement and our food cost for August and September. And currently, we believe that we're in good standing as far as reimbursement and covering the cost of the food. That includes covering the cost of what the county would be providing to support the universal pilot. Now, that's at this time, and those figures are always fluctuating because we haven't got October's bills, nor do we have the October reimbursement into that. But we felt like we were in good standing at this point in time. And we'll continue to watch that as we go along to make sure. Of course, this universal pilot program has created a great deal of interest throughout the state. And we're so happy to have been visited by Dr. Merple at both Hamlin and Duval. She witnessed our pilot program for our breakfast initiatives at Hamlin and continued on to our lunch program at Duval. And I believe that the visit was of quality, and she was very happy to see that there was a great deal of improvement in our schools. And through that, I've heard some good comments from the superintendent's meetings, which that makes us happy. We like a little positive. So from that, she asked us to present to the State Board of Education. And there I learned a great deal as far as protocol of how to address a board, and also to get some input into how to move the program forward and how to give back what we've learned here and how to help other counties move forward in their initiatives as well. Tomorrow, the Lincoln Journal has a picture and a write-up of our meeting. It was very nice if you did that. So you can read a little bit more about that one. Rick discussed the pilot program in depth, and there were still 10 counties in the state that have not implemented any breakfast strategy whatsoever. So it was kindly nice to be on the other end of his presentation. Of course, there were still obstacles and barriers that we have. I'll be meeting with some students from the high school tomorrow to see what we can do there to increase their percentages of participation. And you all were aware that we had received our national recognition, the Gold Award of Distinction. And 3 of us were able to travel to DC to meet with Michelle Obama to represent Lincoln County and our initiative. And as of right now, there was only 124 schools that were recognized for the Gold Award of Distinction across the nation. So we're still there, and we've learned a great deal by networking. It's also opened many doors for myself to do some presentations, which is definitely out of my comfort zone. Webinars and different things. You all approved me to go to Mississippi, but felt like I needed to get some work done here, so I declined for a later date to go down and talk with them. But while I was there, I was able to get you all our awards. You got one today. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I just wish to say thank you for your support while we've gone through this process. It's definitely been interesting. I'm going to continue. We got a $25,000 grant to help us change and to update some of our equipment at our schools. And I have another grant that's due by 11 o'clock this evening for another grant for each and every school at maximum of $10,000. But those are highly competitive. But I believe after our trip from Dr. Marple, that I believe that at least some of our schools will be recognized for that as well. So with that, we will continue to strive on.
I have a real general question here. Now, implementing this free lunch and breakfast for every child, of course, I think we're really excited about that, and very, supportive of that. This first year, is the board bearing all the costs for that?
They haven't told us directly that they are or they're not. I think they're waiting to see how boards are able to handle the costs through the school year. Right now, it's just kind of early to see. I know Fayette County is a little worried that their reimbursement already didn't cover their food costs. Where at least we know that our reimbursement covered our food costs. So we were pleased
I
with
talked to
that
another
part.
superintendent from another county, and he was a little worried. That's why I'm asking you the question.
It's
because
very-
He said they were behind on it.
Already?
Yeah, already. And
Well,
he was concerned.
Yeah.
He was really concerned. So that just brought up the question of where are we?
We're striving so hard, and we're watching it each and every day. It's just amazing to go from feeding 43% to 80. Just there in itself, the food cost alone is already, innately there, and then you're feeding double or triple in some cases. So we'll be.
I'm glad to hear we're picking up that much.
Yes. And every month, I'll just send to you a copy of the principal's meeting notes that you can watch for yourself how that's going. And rest assured, I promise, I'm watching that as closely as I am anything else. Because we want to succeed, and we don't want it to cost us.
We were going to be happy if we broke even.
Yeah.
Knowing that we were feeding that many more students. Of course, we'd like for it to be, show that we are receiving more than we're spending. But if we actually held our own and didn't lose,
That would be an
Yeah, if we
accomplishment.
broke even, that'd be a
Yeah,
great thing.
I'm
Extremely happy with that as well.
right now, Bertie, we're
Yeah, Diane and I, of course, we just threw numbers together, so it's an estimate, you can't, really rest your head on it. But it looked like we were doing pretty good because we're making up, the extra cost in federal reimbursements. We're serving so many children, and of course, what I've said from the get-go is those kids have to get those meals.
Yeah.
They have to get those, we have to have that count, because that's where our money comes from, is those kids going through those lines and getting those meals.
And we're ordering food as if they were going to. So the hardship is, on a given day, a lot of absenteeism, a lot of food is prepared for the likelihood that they were going to eat, and then they're not here. So there's a lot of variables that play into this as well.
and we have talked to the principals, about the field trips, and if there is, if there's a way we can send the meals with them, making sure, yes.
And I've got all brand new, I had a grant from the dairy, so now we have individual sized coolers with the wagons that are going on at Hamlin, if you've seen those and it's delightful. And it's a great way for the kids to be involved with it, and we're gonna try to do that at the New Heart School as well. We're gonna have to implement many strategies at that school to make that work because of the distance and because of the logistics of the school itself.
So like the high school, like all the people that stay after school, because I know they run an activities bus.
Correct.
They could probably have like the extra meals that are prepared for them, for those kids. Because
Correct.
they're staying after, sometimes they don't get home really late at night.
Well, and we've got the after-school supper, and we're staggering entry. Instead of adding staff, we're just kind of staggering how they arrive and how they leave. So we have a cook there to actually do the serving of the meals. So that doesn't go in your breakfast or your lunch, but it will go into their meal per labor hour.
And you're gonna meet with the
Yes,
students to,
Yeah, I
determine
felt like
what kind of
I wanted a
things.
different perspective. I wanted to see, and it's a diversified group. He ensures me, Mr. Ryan Sachs, that he and I've tried to write a grant so that I can get some more computers and some more keypad entries to try to lessen the load for the people inputting, they can input on the line. We put in the grant for some kiosks so that we can serve the meals at different areas. We've bought carts, and so far, we haven't had to countywide buy that. We've been able to get grants. And as long as we keep doing pretty well, hopefully the money will flow to us.
And the supper and lunch are completely different meals.
Correct. Correct.
So whatever you're having, if you're having cheeseburgers for lunch, you won't have cheeseburgers for supper.
They have a completely different menu. There is some likelihood that some have said, can we just have those hamburgers again? So they'll cook up another batch. I have to watch we're using so many raw products.
Awesome. Do you have any more questions?
I don't have any questions. I'd just like to once again commend you all, to you, the staff here, our cooks, our administrators, reading some of the negative things we've heard from other places, and we hear just positive things here time and time again, and it's great.
Well, I'll go down with
Appreciate
the vote because we have some of the hardest working staff in the entire state. They're commendable, and I couldn't do it alone, and I won't do it alone. They've been right on board right from the start, starting from Ms. Lucas, Mr. Midkiff. They have been so positive and so uplifting to help me do what I need to do. Because I'm out in the schools quite a bit, so I need them to recognize what they're doing. Thus the Healthier Challenge, or the HUSIC as they call it. We did it to recognize them so that they're doing this and hopefully in the end our students will benefit from all the work.
Just to inform the board, I was at the Stonewall Jackson meeting with the School Board Association, and their executive committee met and was discussing topics for the February conference, the winter conference in Charleston. And there was interest expressed, and I think I sent you an email about this. You couldn't put it up. No, that's fine. There was interest expressed concerning trends in child nutrition and things going on, and I informed them about Ms. Miller and the strides that the school system made, and they're very interested, and we'll probably, hopefully, everything works out all right. And I asked her a few minutes ago, and I had asked you, but you didn't get that email, to allow her to go in February if they asked her to come up and present to all the school board members in the state. So I think that would be great.
Well, I have to compliment Ms. Miller. She has worked very hard, and she's been diligent in working closely with the principals and the cooks, and with the students. And again, tomorrow she'll be meeting with students, because high school students are just a little bit different in their tastes, I guess, but they're going to help with the menu. And that seems to be an area that they have recognized Mrs. Miller for, because she has included students in decision making. And you know, it's not just been her over here isolated or whatever, but it's been a real team effort. And when she went to the state board, when they asked her to come, they also asked Christine Terry, who is the cafeteria manager at Hamlin Pre-K-8, and she went as well. But they were very impressed, Dr. Markle and people, Mr. Goff from the State Department. They were very impressed with the program that they saw at Hamlin Pre-K-8. And of course, I think Mrs. Terry did talk very freely with them, you know, while they were there, and it was a little more relaxed atmosphere for her then than it was in front of the state board. And she just, you know, kept expressing that she was very nervous, but she did a great job. She did. And it's nerve-wracking standing in front of those many people. I know.
You all are much more pleasant, let me tell you.
But Mrs. Miller did an excellent job, and Sean was there, and I appreciate him being there to cover it. But we also had the coverage on the Herald Dispatch. You know, we did, didn't we? But there had been an article or two in the Charleston Daily Mail, maybe, or something. But it was very refreshing and very pleasant experience to see as they were flashing on their screen the other counties, and then looking at Lincoln County and the percentage of increase in our participation, of the breakfast, and that was such a positive thing. We were there in a positive light, and that was so good. And they didn't bring up Kanawha County.
All right. I was
But-
wondering when you was going to Kanawha County and.
I've been asked, but
They have asked her to go try to mentor different places and to give advice as to how to implement some of these strategies and these ideas that she has put in place here. And I think that's a great compliment
Yeah.
to Mrs. Miller and their system. So it's been a pleasure to be on the receiving end of positive
Right.
things. And Dr. Marple did mention our program at the State Superintendent's Conference, which, she had a captive audience there, and I felt good. I felt proud. So, but thank you so much.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Diane.
I have a pencil. I write pencils and my lead broke, and there's not a sharpener. I'll be behind this pen for 10 minutes. I'm sorry. Should I ask? It's all right. I'll drive home. You ready, David?
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm glad to come. I hope to, if I get too cold, just slow down and say, on the board, if you look here, that's just some of the things that I want to cover with you today. And that is just to kind of give you an update of where we are with regards to technology in the school system. This next one, this is kind of our goal. We want to be able to have any kid in our schools, any place to open up a laptop, all of them open them up at the one time and not fall off any place in use. It's that they would notice that they're all, it would work just like if one opened up or 50 opened up and go to a website, they would all be open up together. We don't want to have any fall off because when we get to the step 7 part, it'll kind of come clear why we want to do this. But right now in our schools, we have all our switches in our schools right now are managed switches. They're in the last 3 years, we've replaced every switch in the school. We have managed switches. They are 1 gigabit switches. They allow us to put 100 megs of bandwidth to every drop in our schools. We already have that in place. We started 5 or 6 years ago. We have rewired every school in the county in the last 5 years, upgraded the wiring. Everything that we have in the schools now meets the state specs in the school. But the problem that we have is bandwidth. And I'm sure that you all have heard, surely you've heard about bandwidth. Complaints to you. We just do not have enough. We have the infrastructure in place, but we have not had a chance to get the bandwidth until this year. We're in the process now, and it's really been a frustrating process of dealing with. We have a contract with. I put it in 2 years ago through E-Rate. We have a contract with Armstrong that will deliver 10 megs of bandwidth to all of our schools, and we would be able to have 40 at each school. And the next slide will kind of give you an idea. If the idea here is that the high school here will be a hub, we'll have a 100 meg line that connects directly to Charleston. This 100 meg line will come into the school here, and we have switches at the school. We'll relay that to each one of our schools here. and each one of them will get 10 megs, and the high school should get 40 megs. Now, we have a contract for this part. The problem is, without this part, this is useless, because we don't have any bandwidth to send out to the schools. So we have been, Ms. Lucas has really been a help, but we've had meetings at the high school with the State Department. We have had Frontier, Armstrong, we have had the Public Service Commissioner, and about the time I think I'm going to get it, they changed the rules or somebody wants some other money. There is, between Frontier, and this is how detailed how I got an email, a picture of a box on the telephone pole over here at Sweetland. Frontier's line is on that side. Armstrong is on that side. And to connect that together, they want $79,000 for us to connect them together. And that just wasn't practical for us to spend that kind of money just to connect those together. But right now, I'm hoping, it's really looking encouraging that after Thanksgiving break, there is a possibility, and I say this, and I've come in and give this curriculum team an update, and I said, it looks like it's going to go. And then by the end of the day, I get an email and somebody would change their mind or something. Anyway, I'm pursuing this, and we've been working real hard trying to get this bandwidth in here. We have everything in place. We just don't have the bandwidth to make it run. Our network in our schools, even though, and I'll put Midway or Guyan Valley, which is one of our older schools, if we take our network, we can put it up against anybody's in the state. Because nobody else has any bigger switches. Nobody else has any better wiring. They may have Cat 6 wiring, which we have Cat 5, but they can't use Cat 6. They can't. It will handle more information than the switches are available to push through it in the school system. So we're good in the infrastructure so far as soon as we get this bandwidth in here. A little bit about bandwidth here. It's not cheap. That, if you go back to the first part here, the $1,200 a month, if you go back, this part here, that's what I'm talking about, is the $12,000 a month. That doesn't count this connection now, but they want $3,600 a month for that connection here if we can, when we can get it. So Duval and Midway, you notice,
Who are they?
Armstrong is, we have a contract with Armstrong, I'm sorry. Frontier was one that was originally going to provide us the 100 meg, but it looks like that they're not going to be able to get to make the contract together. And we're trying to go, the last thing, we have two options of going, Armstrong is going to go through Southern Link to come in the back door into Charleston, in Building 6 of Charleston. That's where the poppy is there, or where the big router is that distributes it to the state. Duval Midway is not on this. They have their own separate lines because at this time we could not. Nobody could get fiber to those schools, so they're going to end up with just T1 lines until next year. We're going to go bid it all out again, and perhaps we'd love to get them in on the network here too. The yearly cost is $174,000, and that's just, that would be for the bandwidth that we have. But now we get 89% of this back through E-rate, and our actual cost would be around $30,000 for all of our schools. So we get 80 to 90. It's roughly our E-rate. County average is 84% here in the county. But I know that, and it's been a frustration to our teachers, our students, of not having enough bandwidth. And the reason that we need so much bandwidth is all these programs here. These are math programs that we didn't have 3 years ago. Plato, we only had 4 years ago, we have had Odyssey. Now, Odyssey's a little bit different. We use an internal server that we're able to put it on our server, and that way we can use it in the schools. But all of these here, if I put a student on Plato, they are interacting with, it could be videos or something online. Well, when you put 30 of those in a classroom and they're all working on it at the same time, the bandwidth, it's just a tremendous amount of bandwidth that they're using. They're using almost, they're almost using anywhere from 1 to 5 megabytes of bandwidth at that time. I had another slide I think I missed. I was going to kind of give you an idea of what bandwidth was.
I have a question. I know we're using these programs. Does Midway and Duval have enough bandwidth to run these programs?
I have ordered another T1 line for Duval and another T1 line for Midway, which will double Midway's, and it will give Duval another third of that. Is that going to be enough?
I don't know. I'll ask you.
It won't. It'll be enough to get us through this year, because it's $400 a month for every line that we order.
Is that because Armstrong doesn't come up?
Yeah,
through?
they don't
That's
come,
what
they
it
don't,
is.
they don't cover that, so we have to order those off the contract. Right now, next year, this is for this year. Next year, the 10 megs to the schools will probably not be enough. We will probably have to have 20 and maybe even up to 60 or 70 at the high school. But if I get in the labs, if I get 3 different labs and you get 60 kids in there using these programs, it's not enough bandwidth to run it. It's just slow, and then it will time out, and it just causes a lot of frustration. So we have to alternate. When we do these acts, we try to alternate them, try not to put everybody in there at one time, and we can't take full advantage of our network because we don't have the bandwidth to run it. But this is just some of them. There are we do benchmark, virtual Spanish, those classes, Discovery Education, which we could have it streaming, but we have a server, special server at the high school. We downloaded it tonight, and then the teachers are able to use that in their classroom the next day. But all of these tech steps it takes a lot of, it's a requirement for students to do a technology activity. They have to do 4 to 6 technology activities in a year, every student. It's for, so that they can be technology literate at the end of the 8th grade. That's how they determine it. Well, all of these activities, they require bandwidth, and they have to space them out. We just can't do them at any time we want to do it. Read 1A, these are all things that we're using. We're just not using them to their full potential because we don't have the bandwidth. Sometimes we can either use one of them or the other one, but we can't use 3 or 4 of them at one time. It just overwhelms our system. Any questions on bandwidth?
How do we compare with other counties? I mean, are we by ourselves without enough bandwidth?
A lot of us do. Compared to Cabell County has, every one of their high schools right now has a 100 meg line to them. Their middle schools have 100 meg line. I'm just talking to him, they're going to put 1 gigabit lines, which is 10 times 100 meg line. They're getting ready to put those in the high school. Putnam County, some of our schools, Putnam County is like us. We think that they have schools that doesn't even have wireless in that system. McDowell, Wayne, some of the other schools around, they're in the same boat that we are. They just don't have enough to go. There are some schools, the last meeting, and I forget the name of it, but It's up in the mountains there, but there are a couple of schools that still have 57K lines. Your house modem has more bandwidth than that. So
How do they do like West Virginia rights and those different things like that? And they only have that kind of.
They don't. They have to do it 3 or 4 or 5 at a time. We couldn't be able to do that. So it stresses us when we do our writing assessment. We do it, and for example, Duval has 3 labs. They can't use all 3 labs. You can use 2. The high school has 5 labs. They can only use 3. We can't put them all in there at one time because we just don't have the bandwidth to run that West Virginia rights. And that's assuming that we don't do anything else but the writing assessment at that time. A little bit about Hearts there. We've been working on this for 3 years. At Hearts Intermediate, 2 years ago we put a brand new lab in. Last year we put a brand new lab in. And we're putting a brand new lab this year in Hearts Pre-K-8. And the reason that we staggered is because we can't keep up with it. We can replace a lab every 3 years. We can't replace 3 in 1 year. For example, at the high school, we replace a lab every year. That's because we're on a 5-year cycle there, so every 5 years that lab will get replaced. And it's actually a lab and a half now that we put in the high school every year. We have a brand new mobile lab that we purchased this year that's at Hearts Primary that will go to that school. We took the switches out. We're in the process of taking the switches out of the school, which are new switches, and we're replacing them with the old ones that we've kept. We put our old switches back into Hearts Primary. We're taking those out and putting those in the new school, which are excellent switches. I mean, they're very good switches. And then we're going to do the same thing with Hearts Intermediate, and then we'll take the router, which is a brand new router. I talked to the State Department. I sent you an email today getting it cleared that we could take that out. But we're going to take the router out of Hearts Intermediate. It will become the router for the new school. So we have the infrastructure there that's going to go into the new school. And they worked on the phone lines. We are putting all the phone lines that's been run into the school. I had them to run the phone lines, put them in there, and right now they're just empty. The circuits are not turned on. As soon as we move into the school, they'll turn off Hearts Primary and Hearts Intermediate, and they will turn those circuits on into the new school. We already have the wiring in there, so we're going to keep all of our phone lines at Hearts Intermediate and Hearts Primary for the new school. So we'll just change. Armstrong will just change it over. But the lines are already being run in there, so we're ready to go. As soon as we move into it, we'll just turn the phone lines on. They'll turn it off at Hearts, the schools we have, and then turn it on at that school. Step 7. This is how quick things change. By the time that they had wired the new school, in the middle of it, the state had changed the standard. They no longer, they said, you have to put Cat 5, Cat 6 in the school. So we had to rewire. It was additional cost to the county, but we had to put Cat 6 in the school, in the new Hearts Pre-K school, plus we have wireless in the buildings. The best way I can explain it, if you have your telephone and you get 5 bars here. Throughout the school, we had 4 or 5 bars that you could actually get onto. But what they want now, the new standard is, and the reason for it is because we're going to try to be prepared for a 1-to-1 where every student has their own laptop. They want a wireless access point in every classroom. So that's what we're working to, and by the end of next year, we should have that completed. We're going to put a wireless access point in every classroom of the school. But we're going to go a little bit farther. It's a small additional cost for us to run. We're going to run the wire. If we're going to run one wire in the classroom, we're going to run two. And the only difference is we'll have this wire will be there in the case in the future that one wireless access point is not enough. I don't know what, 6 years on down the road, I don't know what kind of device that student's going to have. And that student, a classroom of those students may overwhelm an access point. I may not, and I may have to have two of them in the classroom. So what we're going to do is when we're pulling this, we're going to have this wire, and we'll pull it and just leave it in the ceiling. So we don't have to go back to the expense of pulling it. And we're only talking a few $1,000s for the whole county of extra expense, but it could save us $10,000 or more than that if we need it in the future.
So you're prepared for stuff that hadn't been
It
invented.
hadn't been invented. So we're putting it in there. So we would have, after we're through, we'll have the ability to put two access points in. We'll have the wiring already in the building. We are going to update Midway, Duval, Hamlin, Central Office, Lincoln County High School, and finish the new Hart School this year. That's our goal, to put a wireless access point in every classroom. Now, the reason that those particular schools were chosen is because West Hamlin, Guyan Valley, and Ranger are 90% schools. And I'm going to put in this year E-rate. And I may be able to get 90% of this cost back to the county, although we're using Step 7 funds. I can pay for it to Step 7, and E-rate will reimburse me for that. So then I would get that much money back for the county that we could use someplace else. Now, if I put the reason that these three schools last year when we planted, these were our 90% schools, and 90% schools are guaranteed to pay for infrastructure. 80% school, you're not guaranteed. They every now and then they will fund that, but 90% schools, they will fund all my switches and stuff for those schools. So we're going to do those next year. 350. It's a pretty good hunk of money here. It's 200. We're buying $250-some thousand of access points. We have to have some larger our wireless access switches. We have to have large ones because we're putting so many more drops in there. And then on year 3, which this year here, and on year 3, this Step 7 money, which is usually for textbooks, we'll be going for one-to-one computing. And I don't know what that's going to look like. I don't know of anybody that knows what that's going to look like here. They tell me that it will be something along the line of a laptop. I was reading today, Windows 8 is in the process of being, it's in beta right now, and it'll be maybe out in a couple of years. Windows 8 is what I'm thinking that it's going to go to. Windows 8 is a dual operating system. It will operate on the device that you open it up on. It will open up as a Windows 7, like Windows 7, or it will open up like an iPad. It will be a dual operating system on one device, is what they're going for. So I'm thinking that that may be the solution there. Our limits right now with Windows on our laptops, the biggest is battery life. Anytime you put a hard drive in it and it's whirling, it uses battery. But solid state drives are coming, the price is coming down, and they are thinner and they are quicker. They have a lot of, they don't use as much energy. So if the price of those falls like computer chips, then these new devices will probably have solid state drives in them, and they'll be able to, you just pick what you boot it up like a Windows operating system, or you boot it up like an iPad or an Android or something of that nature. I don't know what these are going to be. Now, but I do know what they will have on, or some of that. The goal is to have all of our textbooks at the student's hand. Have all the resource material, have all all that they need is on that device there for their education. And it should be the ability here that they can tie this in to the teacher. Teacher can give the assignment out to it. That ability's there, we just don't use it because we don't have the bandwidth to do that. We can't use that.
You're talking about a device that operates as if it's like 2 or 3 different devices.
Yes. Okay. I don't, if you're familiar with the iPad, this could work just like an iPad, or it can work just like a laptop. Just whichever way you want to do it. So, but anyway, that's pretty big. This is a one-time thing. We don't have this money. We won't have this money after this 3 years. On the 3rd year, 4th year, we go back to adopting textbooks with this money. Tools for school funds. This is the funds that the state gives, and this is how they were spent. Majority of funds this way. We buy Odyssey out of this funds for all the schools. Deep for each, we take care of some licensing issues with all the schools. These are the schools. Guyan Valley got a computer lab this year. Hamlin received a computer lab. Lincoln County High School received 1.5 computer labs plus the mobile lab. Harts received a new computer lab, and West Hamlin a new computer lab. If you wonder there that if you notice that Midway, Duval, and Ranger didn't get anything out of this money. The reason for it's on a cycle. Last year, these schools, some of these schools didn't get anything, and Midway got a brand new mobile lab. Duval got 2 brand new computer labs last year, and Ranger, which is they are not due to be updated until next year. I updated all their computers, but to replace their lab, they're not even due to replace it to next year. So some days, some years, the school will get a lot, and some years they won't get very much because it depends on the cycle of the replacements. But it's usually around $250,000, $225,000 we get from the state funds every year. There's been at least $150,000 out of ARA funds, from Title I ARA, the 6 school ARAs. There's been a lot of technologies that's been put in the school, in document cameras, student responders, things of that nature that some of the schools, and it's been at least $150,000. I don't know the exact number, but it's at least that much. It could have been $250,000. There was quite a bit of ARA money spent last year, this year and last year for the school. Our levy money. This year, and if you'll notice, it's kind of strange to put it this way here. This $325,000 was the levy, for the levy, what we had for technology. This money here, that in the last year, some of the $66,000 was carryover, but this is money that I've squirreled away for the, lack of a better term, for the new school, because I knew we were going to have new money or stuff for that new school, because when it goes in, it'll be, I want it to have the best that we can have for that school. So we have an extra, that's how come this year I have extra money, because I held that over knowing that this new school was going to come online. And this is just some of the big stuff that we've already purchased this year. The Spanish class laptops. The Spanish class were going to our labs, and they were tying up our labs that we couldn't use them during flex time. So we needed to find another solution to this. So the laptops there for the Spanish classes, that not only made those classes work so much better, it also freed up the labs during the flex periods and the Spanish periods for other students to do Tech Steps or Plato or Odyssey or some other. It just really made our labs a lot more flexible. And then plus, these Spanish teachers now have a lab in their room to use from their regular classroom. So we really affected, it wasn't just Spanish students, it was every student that that teacher has, now has access to a laptop in that classroom. But that's just some of the stuff down through that we purchased. I have, out of that money, I have $250,000 left, and we have purchased a lot for the new school. Gotta wait and see. I'm gonna make a walkthrough, see what all we're gonna take with us, but see exactly what we're gonna need. But we'll have enough money to make sure that that school, when it comes on, that it will have the best that we can offer. The ARA Ed jobs. Right now, we have 4.5 of our 4.5 technology integration space. We have to have 5 of them, but they're only funded 4.5 salaries are funded out of this ARA Ed jobs money. Our TSSs, our technology integration specialists, is TIS, the TSSs, we have 2 of those. Those are people that works on the computers. And we are funding those out of Ed job money, this ARA Ed job. And this is the tune of the money, $369,000 roughly of what we're funding. And this is an area of concern that you all will probably be addressing here. These people, these TSSs, they're the people that supports the teachers out there. They're the ones that goes into the classroom. Those are the ones that shows them how to set stuff up. Those are the ones that gives them support so that they can use all the technology that we have. Now, when we get this new bandwidth, the sky is going to be the limit to what we can do. I mean, if we're not limited by bandwidth, there's a lot of tremendous things that we can do. The problem is, without these people, the teachers will not have time to figure it out, nor will they feel free or comfortable enough to step out and do some of these things with technology. The 2 here, the TSSs, we just had them a year. In the last year, we have taken West Hamlin, Hamlin, and Duval. We have put brand new servers. They have networked, they have changed over the way that we used to have to do things. They have set up a domain in each one of those schools. Every student has their individual logon. We have much more control of the system. They have taken Hamlin, or not, Guy Valley, they've reworked the server there. They've went to Hearts and they've reworked the servers there. We are much more responsive to the needs of our people, to the needs of the teachers, the students, technology needs to work on these computers and stuff with these people around. And you can say that I'm biased, but I think out of the TISs and the TSSs in the state of West Virginia, I think we have, our TISs, I think we have the 5 that we have are in the top 10 of any of them in the state of West Virginia. These are some of the best people that I've ever worked with. The 2 TSSs that we have here that we hired through, they are through, they were first hired through a EETT grant, Enhanced Education Grant. They're young guys. They had the server at West Hamlin, and they both worked on it. And I told them, I said, this is what I want you to do. And gave them the server. They took it out of the box. I said, this is what I want it to look like when we get out. It took them, on the first one, it took them a couple of weeks there. They had never had any experience with that. They went through, researched on how to do it, and they were able to set it up and work all the bugs out of it in just a few days. And then they moved on to the other server. They are really, really quality people. And right now, we think we may be able to get rid of, do without them. Can you imagine the problems that we're gonna have in 3 years when every student has a laptop? When all this, I mean, I don't know how that we could function without these kind of people supporting us in the classrooms. Any question? I'm sure I've left a lot out.
How long is it gonna be before we have the bandwidth? I mean, that it's gonna be functional in the schools? I know Duval and Midway are different.
The line is already, the approval for the line has already been put in for that. If the last conversation, there's a possibility that we can get it the week after Thanksgiving.
So that would, I mean, as soon as that gets hooked up, everything's online.
Oh, we already, the
Yeah.
schools is already there.
Right.
As soon as they can hook us together, we have everything, the ability to make her hum if we can just get her.
That's awesome.
Do you have the ability to just let access what they need to access on these computers? Or are they gonna have the
Yes.
ability to get any place they wanna be?
We're filtered through the state of West Virginia. They can't go, I mean, every now and then they'll slip into something, but they're filtered, but when this wide area network goes in, we're gonna run it through it's called a Symphonics box. And this Symphonics box will be able to say, this kind of traffic, it don't allow, like, it will filter out, we put certain words in it, which it comes with a bank of words in it, so we can filter out just about where they want to go. We have one I had to put one at Guyan Valley because we were really, it was over bandwidth there, I just didn't have enough, couldn't do anything. So we put the Symphonics box in Guyan Valley, it's a smaller one, and we limited, playing the radio on the network. We didn't allow any kind of traffic like that. We didn't allow any updates during the day. The box made them go in the evening to any kind of update. They wasn't able to, we were able to limit sites and we were able to get enough where we could function. But yes, we
And it will also tell you which computer did it, right?
yes, with
I
our
know
network
when I
now,
worked at State, they had, I mean, the same hour went to Building 6, just like this one does.
and they've had that ability for a while. A few years ago, it's been 5 years ago, they called me up and said, how come you have a computer at Harts Creek that is using more bandwidth than any computer in the state of West Virginia of the night? And it was, I don't know whether it was a card or something. And somebody was downloading something they shouldn't have been. But anyway, they picked it up and we went up and took care of that. Yeah. Any other questions? I hope I didn't. I had one other slide in here too about to give you an idea about how much bandwidth is, how much 10 megs of bandwidth is. If you look at Yahoo, for those of you open the page Yahoo. Yahoo is about 30. Yahoo is about 30 kilobytes of 300 kilobytes of information that you download. Okay, 10 megabits means that you can open 34 Yahoo pages completely every second. That's kind of like what the kind of bandwidth that we need. Or if you have a Word document that you have a whole page of typing on it, it's like, and you know, when you open that up, it's like opening 200 of those up every second. That kind of gives you the kind of bandwidth that we need. And that's today. 2 years from now, I can see a 1 gig connection to all of our schools. Just because there's just going to be so much that's going to be available for us. And it will get, the technology is getting much cheaper that we can use it.
Well, Danny, one more thing. You said that one day they'll tell you we'll have it next week, and the next day, who are they?
Armstrong, Frontier.
Not the state.
No, not the state. They're working with us. They have called everybody. We had one meeting with these are, there was the State Director of Technology, the Assistant State Director of Technology, the Director of E-Rate, the Greg Chapman, who is over the infrastructure of the state of West Virginia, Bob Roush, I believe he was Frontier, he was over the supply side of Frontier. There was another president of Frontier. We had Armstrong's president in this company and another Armstrong person from Pennsylvania. Miss Lucas was there. And it was just to get them all together over this here. We've had meetings and they just change it on me. I can't pin them down whether they'll agree.
Yeah.
I have to say that it has not been anything that Mr. Daly has not completed or finalized. The State Department has worked diligently with Mr. Daly. It's like we're out here watching two corporations, pretty much, and our students are the victims.
Yeah.
They're the ones that are suffering because whatever, and Mr. Daly will come to me and say, I think I want to have a contract. And I said to him today, you tell me that almost every day. I haven't seen a contract yet. But they keep changing it. And just as, I mean, if you would follow the emails that have taken place, it's comical, you know, because it isn't anything, you know, that we haven't done locally and on the State Department's side. They have really worked hard trying to get this to take place, but it hasn't.
I think it boils down to one company wants to do it and the other company doesn't want to do it. They have no one to say.
We're at their mercy.
Public Service Commission could say something.
No,
He
they
was
at-
there.
they
He was at the
He was
table.
on he was at the table too.
He was right there with us.
He was in on the meeting too.
He was confused too. He was right there with us.
Danny, thanks. Thanks for coming in.
And I have to say that Mr. Daly has, I consider myself a work in progress, understanding all of this language. And I have, you know, grasped a little bit of it, you know, the part that I can pretty much follow him, because I felt I needed to. I felt like I needed to know if I was going to, you know, sign a contract. But he is a very patient person and has been through this whole process. But Danny works really hard, and I'm very pleased. You know, we're fortunate to have someone with his skill level and knowledge level of bandwidth. So,
Let's move through our administrative section. What do you say? We have A, school volunteers. I think we have some additional school volunteers on the next page. See those. B is the agreement with Youth Works. Okay. Go ahead.
This, I guess Bertie's taking a look at this about using Hamlin and West Hamlin. Do you know whether they're going to use West Hamlin every day as they're using Hamlin every day? And if so, is that enough cost to pay for utilities and use of the schools?
Well, now, they don't occupy West Hamlet anywhere like they do Hamlin. They only have a kids club over at West Hamlin, which means they just come over there in the evening and they have little activities, most of the time out in the gazebo.
Okay, well, it just says the same dates, so I assumed it was the same dates.
They use the showers, the kitchen, and they sleep at Hamlin.
Okay, so when they go over there, it's just lights and water, whatever they use at the time.
Probably to go in the bathroom, but mostly it's outside, actually in that gazebo.
They clean the school
Kids
themselves?
club.
They clean it up for themselves, or
Oh.
we have to?
That's never been a
Janitor.
problem. No.
They've been out there for years.
Okay. And the principals have no problems with this?
They've signed
Everything.
everything.
Well, they've been at Hamilton now for several years.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, I think the church up there, they might have stayed at the church.
They did last year because they had been staying in Hamlin Junior High. I mean, last year it was not safe to be inside. So they stayed at Trinity. But they want to like get under one roof and be in, you know, everything in one location instead of having to go out to Hamlin and take a shower and then walk back up to church and whatever. So we were able to accommodate them at Hamlin. And they do a lot of community service.
I just want to be sure.
Appalachian Service Project will probably contact us to do an activity in Hearts. They have for the last several years. I haven't heard from them yet, but I probably will.
Okay. Moving
They
on.
even do more, I'm sorry,
Go
more
ahead.
major projects. They have more money and more skilled labor in their world. We'll probably have that later.
All right, thank you.
C is a contract with lecture management, provide staff development to pay for the counseling grant. D is out-of-state travel for the following people.
Could someone enlighten on how, what this is, Appalachian Higher Education Network Conference? What is that?
Did you print off that, Brittany has the information, we discussed it that day.
Yeah, because we talked about that earlier, didn't we?
Gentlemen,
Is this our first conference, or are we just getting into this network, Brenda, or is it?
Well, it's the first that I recall.
Okay. I don't remember
Someone else.
before either, so.
It was a bus tour.
This is a group that deals with going to different schools that has effective practice associated with increasing college going rates. And of course, as you see, they're paying for the expenses. And there are several states involved, Alabama, Georgia, Kentucky, Mississippi, North Carolina, Ohio, Tennessee, Virginia, and West Virginia in this group. And they are taking the teachers to schools in Georgia and North Carolina that have existing programs that have been effective in helping students enter college, study in college. And that's just through their particular higher education network. And they have targeted a couple of the teachers from Guy Valley Middle, and the way those two particular teachers were chosen, they're part of the data team. You know, these teachers are part of the data team at the schools, and I think you are aware through their LSIC presentations of how they are gathering the data. What would help constitute targeting students to be able to go on to college and make them successful. So that's what this program is about. And as far as I know, this is their first participation, you know, in this conference. So.
fantastic. Thank you, Ms. Lewis. Do we have a motion for the administrative section?
I'll second.
Steve and Greg. All those in favor to approve the administrative section, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. Move to our financial section.
Okay, sorry I haven't been here for a while, just finished up financial statements, of course auditors are in now, and I need you guys to fill out a questionnaire before you leave this evening, so after we finish our board meeting, please stay, so we'll finish this out for the auditors. But anyway, so we have $1,251,675.88 in invoices to be paid, and I think you guys have a copy, and if you want, after the meeting, you can look through these if you have some questions, or you can ask now.
I'll just wait till
Yeah,
after.
because we'll be here for a while.
I've got one question.
Okay.
All right. And D is the, in lieu of transportation payment for 2011, 2012 school year.
I'll move.
I second. All those in favor to approve the financial statement, please say aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. Personnel. Do I have an attachment for personnel?
This was revised one, only because we had some additional resignations to be added. We have transfer of professional personnel in Section A. Employment of professional personnel in Section D. Employment of extracurricular personnel, Section C. A leave of absence, Section D. Resignations and/or retirements, which is designated at the end on the effective date in Section E. Have any questions?
I have to recuse myself on A2. It's my sister.
Does this, will this finish then all of the administrative
Yes.
positions?
Yes, ma'am. We hope. We hope no one brings any surprises.
Right. What do I mean to that? There won't be any vacancies in administrative slots.
I think there still are. Oh, administrative, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I was going to say, do you know something, Mr. Creasy?
No, I'll be all right.
Okay. That's why I said, if there aren't any surprises, if you know of one, let me
No,
know.
no, no, I hope I don't hear it.
Don't make a motion.
You'll be just- I move that we approve the personnel schedule as presented, with the exception of Chastity Green.
All those in favor to approve,
I'll second that.
second that. All those in favor to approve the personnel schedule except A2, Chastity Grant, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it.
Now I move
Make a
that,
motion that we accept Chastity Graham as the Hamlin PTA assistant principal.
I said,
All those in favor to approve?
aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. I abstain from voting. All right, let's move to comments and concerns. Sid Vergel, Dallas Plumley, they will not be here tonight. Additional service personnel.
Mr. Smith, would you like to?
Yes, I've asked for an additional person in the maintenance, truck driver / general maintenance. I can remember back when I began in this journey of maintenance, we had like 18 and a half, we've got 5 now. We just don't have enough maintenance people to get it done. We have replaced several retirees. One, because we had difficulty finding qualified people because of the salaries we pay for service personnel. It's difficult to get certified electricians and HVA technicians and things that we've needed. So I've asked for a truck driver / general maintenance guy.
Got a question. Is your truck driver, does it have to have like your CDLs?
No.
No.
Our trucks, our delivery trucks are not large enough to need that qualification.
This general maintenance person, he's just a guy who goes out, or gal, I guess, who goes out and works in the school thing.
Yeah, this person would probably be a delivery person for a while. We usually take the least senior person and put them on the delivery truck on those days we need to deliver, and then they do some general maintenance as they go. Or on days that they don't need to deliver, we can work them with someone else or on their own or doing jobs that they do by themselves.
And I'm assuming that this party would be another spot over the department.
Absolutely,
You sure you didn't budget for that bird?
yeah.
You are.
Thanks, Dan. Hearts PKA playground equipment.
Go ahead.
Well, Debbie Davies contacted Mrs. Lucas and myself about a week ago or so, week and a half, that she has funding for preschool playground equipment. It's actually through the R money. Charlie Cogan had worked that out. We could purchase preschoolers playground equipment. It wasn't her Debbie's intention was is to move the existing playground equipment at Harts Primary to the new school. Well, someone, whoever that person is, I'm not sure what entity it is, looked at the playground equipment and says it's not up to code for a new school. So she's not going to be able to move that playground equipment. She's gone out and she's looked at proposals, or asked for proposals, and the cheapest that she could find was $37,000. Her teachers have said that they were willing to give up their faculty senate money, $10,000 roughly, towards the cost. But she wanted me to let you all know that it was an issue, and she was concerned that they weren't going to be able to have playground equipment when the school opens.
You have to clarify again, what you said, that there was some preschool equipment, grant money, or what was that?
At Armin, there's some ARA money that's left over, and we're using it to purchase the preschool equipment.
So you're going to have that then, is that what you're saying?
Right.
Actually, that's already
delivered.
Yeah.
Oh, is it?
And paid for.
Okay, so they're going to have preschool equipment, so now she's talking about equipment
For the remainder of the school year.
And who was the
As you-
entity, oh, I'm sorry,
Go ahead.
who was the entity that said that that wasn't up to code or anything? I don't think our
I'm not
maintenance
aware of
person
that.
would be able to tell us whether it's up to code or not.
I remember, I asked her more information, but she.
I know the equipment's got some age on it. I don't believe it's worth moving. As far as it being on codes, I'd have to look at it closer. I'm not sure exactly what they're saying, doesn't mean.
I was thinking she said something about when they looked at, what's down in the ground or whatever, once they started to remove it or something, that it had deteriorated to a point
Well,
that.
as old as it is, it would be natural that it would be deteriorated.
But it's safe right now, isn't it? I mean, our children, they're using it, it's okay, isn't it? I mean,
I probably should do
what does
an
that
inspection
mean?
on it.
For another month.
And if you wouldn't care, would you mind going to Duval and inspecting that playground equipment, especially kind of the bridge?
Yes.
I
need to do them all.
Got a price tag on this yet?
It's $37,000.
How much?
$37,000. She asked $10,000 that she could put down on the cost. So,
Now, does that include the material that they put under the swing sets and stuff? Or is
my
that just the
understanding,
equipment?
that would be everything. That's what she told me.
Does that include the labor to install it?
No.
I'm thinking she said that was equipment and installation. I
She
may be
did.
wrong, but I thought that's what she had said.
That sounds awful cheap, for the material that goes under for safety.
And just a general cost of it, to me, that's.
Well, we had the pictures, and there wasn't a lot of equipment. You don't have that with you?
No.
No. Okay, now she had indicated that she may go to the county commission and ask for some as well. She was thinking that we would not be having to incur the entire cost.
Well, I just had personal experience at Duval, that when I was at Griffithsville and we put that in, is that, it was all through monies we got, but all of the labor there was done by us, and the amount, had we chosen to have them installed, was going to be equal to whatever we paid, and I don't know, we may have spent $50,000, and we did all the labor ourselves. It was done without that, so I think this would be extremely cheap. The only problem I have with it is, and I certainly want to have the school to have everything, is that at no school in the county have we provided playground equipment. We heard Midway here a couple of weeks ago how they used their business partner and grants to do it. At West Hamlin, after the school was built, they used grants and general fund money. At Ranger, they used grants and budget digest money. At Hamlin, they used grants. That's the only thing that concerns me is that, everyone has had to do something independent of the board monies. I don't know if any board monies have been spent for playground equipment. And I have two concerns. One, that we only have $200,000, and when I look at the cost of the Harts property that we still haven't paid for and the legal fees, and the tearing down of the junior high and all that, and then providing the modulars at West Hamlin, my math comes up more than $200,000. So I just question that we have money to do it, and then we're doing something for one school that we haven't done for others, and we're establishing a precedent for the next school that comes to us and says, you know, what are you going to do for us playground-wise?
Well, I think maybe it's something, I mean, as far as the cost, I mean, I don't think you have anything nailed down. I don't know if the people have, just like what you were saying, like seeking grants, different things like that, they may not be aware of that. Or budget, I think they used to call it old budget dodging.
Yeah,
What they
it's
allocate,
called
something
something else,
else.
a community-
Same thing.
Community participation, governor's community participation program.
Well, I know we heard Ms. Clayton, when they gave their presentation, I think they went, you know, the legislative season's approaching here, and they went for some of the monies for that walkway and all that, you know, were from grants.
And she told me last Friday, they got more money.
Yeah,
They
well,
got
that's
the
what I
rest of the
mean.
money to finish that
And
project.
I would just like to see this thing, you know, and hopefully, I think maybe Jeff even maybe alluded to that, maybe they were going in that direction, trying to get some grant monies. Well, you know, we want them to have top facility, you know, equipment is safe and all that. But at the same time, I'm just concerned about incurring expenses. Mr. Smith has come tonight and wanted another person to work for us. Well, that's somebody else that's going to be paid with county funds. And all these things add up. And once again, going back to, and Bertie, I'm always going to remember that $200,000.
We all better remember.
And that concerns me.
But now let me say something here. You know, our excess levy money, remember I said we have money for instructional type activities, but we don't have money for personnel. So if it would be the board's will and pleasure to contribute some, we do have some levy money that could be, you know, used toward that. Okay, because we do have like carryover levy money, because it has to be carried over year to year and kept in, you know, as a designated fund.
Okay.
We'd still be giving that towards school, though, and not the
Right,
others.
that's right, that's why I said it's the will and pleasure of the board.
I guess just maybe in defense of Ms. Dingus, I think she was caught off guard a little bit about when she was looking at moving the equipment and having the people to come in, and then was told, well, this is not
Up to code.
whatever terms they use. And that's when she was like, oh, what do we do? We've got to have playground equipment. And I think that it happens so suddenly that, because she just let us know. She just let us know recently that had occurred.
I can understand that, because I know when we went through this process, and we, you know, Travis Long oversaw our project, KK, and he was like our laid out.
I remember when that happened.
He laid out everything, he was like our technical expert. But we looked at all kinds of different companies, and everybody would say, you know, Fred's company's the way there, this guy's company's not as good as mine, they don't meet all the, I don't know what those codes are, that you may be aware of that. But it may be some of that thing, you know, that she's hearing from, opposed to the State Department or something.
Well, why don't we get some more information, and then we can come back and hash it out next week. How's that sound, guys? Sounds like a winner? Winner, chicken dinner.
Well,
All right.
if I could just
Go
say
ahead.
one thing. When Mr. Chrisley talked about, you know, that $200,000 for personnel that he'll always remember, I did have, you know, tried to have a very serious, because this is personnel season, starting to look at and prioritizing. So, you know, that will, if we get this, what do we give back? So we know that that's not we don't have a money tree.
Yeah,
But-
maybe we can pull from different pools.
And I'll
We
mention
have
that
different pools of money that we can pull from.
The State Department's going to the legislature requesting that these TSS, TIS positions be put in the formula for next year. Because principals are saying that to give up a teacher to keep these people in our buildings, that's how important they are, so.
And you all did sign that. Remember, that's one of the things that was on that list of supporting those legislative priorities that the State Department is going to talk about and request, which would be great.
Does anybody have anything in?
I just have one thing. I've had some concerns expressed to me about kindergarten at Midway.
That's all right, keep going.
About kindergarten at Midway, where we still don't have a teacher for the advertised position. And of course, my response was, well, we have another teacher working with that person, don't we? They said, yes, but there is the fact that we have 36 kids in one room that are just not enough space for 36 5-year-olds in a classroom. So-
She's in the process of moving them into another classroom.
Oh, is she?
Yes.
Oh, good.
Yes, she, actually, I think we asked for the update on that, when we were there. It was after the board meeting there.
She has another classroom.
She has a designated classroom that, moving things around out of or whatever to.
The teacher who ultimately would move into it.
Yes,
right?
yes.
So that was right.
Yes, she's in the process, and she may actually have already completed that right now, Mr. Priestley, I'm not sure, but I know she was in the process of getting them moved.
Does anybody else have anything?
Okay, I do.
Go ahead, Carol.
Listening to Danny in regards to the children and the technology and the needs that we have there, and his, you can tell it's in his soul and his heart to help do something for these children. And I want him to know that I really do appreciate that. But I also would like somebody, and Dana, I hope you're still there, to address the issue of that blind curve in front of the Hart New School. I've went through there 3 or 4 times, and our children are not going to be safe. Pull them out from that school or pull them into that school. And not only our children, there's senior citizens and the other citizens that drive up and down through there that, could run into one of our buses and kill one of their infants. I don't know if they've done anything within the last couple of days, but this is an issue that's not going to take years like Danny's talking about, what it's going to take to get all those bandwidth in there. It's something that the state road can go in there in one day and wipe out the side of that mountain. It's not that much of it. And surely to goodness somebody can put some pressure. We've got petitions going around and the people up there are just really upset about this.
Dana, do you have anything on that?
I've spoke with the gentleman.
Can you come up?
I've spoke with a gentleman at the State Department of Highways on several occasions, and there's a certain amount of feet. I want to think it was 300 and some feet that they needed to be able to see from the curve to where they turn into the school, and that's, according to him, that's there. I walked it off. It seemed to be there. Whatever it was he told me the amount was. I didn't have my wheel with me to check it precisely, but it did seem that they had the requirement that he said they had to have. But I agree with you, it would be nice if more of that mountain had been removed where the vision would be better. I don't know that I'm going to be able to have enough clout to get him to do any more, but maybe there are those out there that would.
We're going to have to do something. If we have to get the news media in there and have a protest or whatever we have to do, that's our children, and we have too many dying on the roads now. Rather than to leave a blind spot, that was totally ridiculous that they took that much off and just couldn't see it ahead far enough to know that that needs to come too.
I'll definitely let him know that there's concerned landowners, a couple gentlemen, last name Brumfield, that has agreed to let them do what they've done. If they do more, it could involve someone else. But I will definitely give him a call tomorrow and let him know that there are lots of concerns. This is the first time I've heard of petitions and people being upset about it, so I didn't know that it was an issue out there. But I'll definitely let him know.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'd hate for my name to be Brumfield if it was my child that got injured in that curve.
Oh, I'm not sure that they're not willing to do more. I think the state did exactly what they thought they needed to do. I'm not saying that the Brumfield gentleman will object for them doing more. That's an issue I'm not sure that would even be there, but I'll find out.
I'm headed back probably tomorrow or the next day, and I'll get on it too and get those petitions gathered up and see what we can get done. But that's a real issue there that needs to be addressed.
I'll work on that tomorrow.
I appreciate it.
No problem.
Mr. Matthews, would it be something we might want to consider that maybe at a future meeting, going along with what Carol said, if we have a resolution from the board that we request additional, look at that petition?
Why don't we do that? Why don't we put that on the agenda for December the 6th?
That would be wonderful.
Put a resolution. Okay? Sounds like a winner. Does anybody else, anything else for the board? Anything else, comments, concerns? Fabulous. Ladies and gentlemen,
I move that we adjourn.
all those in favor to adjourn until December the 6th, 2011?
We got to
at 6
decide
o'clock.
where. We had originally scheduled to be in Harts PKA, thinking the new building would be ready, and it's not going to be.
And they need to give an LSIC presentation.
Yes, both those schools. Mrs. Dink has invited us to Harts Intermediate for
Let's
a
go.
meeting if you wanted to go, or if you want to wait until later and go to the new school.
Well, can we wait till later?
Well, the board expressed an interest at one point in the past that they wanted to hear all LSIC reports before the end of December.
Can we give careful consideration to the fact that they're going to have a new school?
Well, I think that was our basis.
And they're
We
probably
wanted to hear
not
it so
going to
we
have
could
many
plan.
needs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do what?
They probably won't have many needs, and that's usually why we want to try to.
But here's, it might not be a bad idea for us.
Just want to meet here then on December 6th, and then we'll schedule at Harts when the school's open and
That sounds
it's
great.
convenient for them.
Sounds good.
That's
So,
fine.
Carol, can you hear?
I certainly can. That sounds wonderful, and I appreciate your all's understanding. I know you care as much about those kids as what I do and what the public does. So let's do what we can for them.
Good deal. So all those in favor to adjourn until December the 6th, 2011 at the central office here at 6 o'clock, please say aye.